Hi everyone. Today I have Dr. Pooja with me. She is a senior consultant in obstetrics and gynecology at Miringo Asia Hospital. So today we'll be discussing about the common ENT problems that we face in pregnancy. And there are a lot of changes in the pregnancy that happen, and because of that the ENT problems are quite significant. So Dr. Pooja, what are the changes that happen in the pregnancy and how that leads to a lot of common ENT disorders? Can you please explain that?
So it is a very interesting topic that we are covering today. So pregnancy is associated with a lot of ear, nose and throat diseases which we often ignore. So there are a lot of hormonal, physiological and metabolic changes that are occurring in pregnancy. The basal metabolic rate in a pregnant woman is very high because of the increase in the oxygen consumption, increase in the cardiac output, and also because of the blood volume expansion. So all these changes lead to the mucosal lining of all these organs to thicken. They become more boggy, it is more membranous. That's why they are more prone to infections. And also the estrogen and the progesterone hormones are at its peak during the pregnancy. So that also has an effect on all these organs, the ear, the nose and the laryngeal membranes. All these have an effect. And the stress hormone, that is the cortisol, it also increases in pregnancy. That leads to immunosuppression that causes the latent viral infection to reactivate, and also the immunity in a pregnant woman is suppressed, so they get more prone to the infections.
So Dr. Pooja, what are the most common nose complaints that you see, and you usually refer to an ENT specialist for that, and in which trimester do you see all these problems?
So it is very important. The nose problems are the most common problems that we face in our daily OPD. Because the lining has become more edematous, they are more, the blood supply is too much, so they are very fragile and they tend to bleed a lot. So nose bleeding is one of the most common symptom that we do experience, that is called as epistaxis. So that is the most problem. And then running nose that I face, blocked nose, infections of the nose. These are very important nasal features that we feel.
So yes, Dr. Pooja is right. We see a lot of patients, especially in the second and third trimester, that develop severe rhinitis, that is inflammation of the nasal lining, and which is associated with severe nasal blockages. Already these pregnant patients, they have their diaphragm is raised up, so they have breathing difficulty. They have a lot of headaches because of that. So usually we prescribe saline sprays and steam and rest to them. Sometimes some antiallergics can be given, but we try to avoid antibiotics for this. We also have to deal with the allergy patients. Ladies who are already allergic have the symptoms more than the normal population. Also, if I see the nasal mucosa, as Dr. Pooja mentioned, it has the more propensity to bleed during pregnancy. Sometimes those bleedings are very mild. We can manage with cold fermentation, nose pinching and some decongestant drops. But sometimes bleedings can be severe. In that case, we have to do nasal packing. Though that is only 20% of the patients, 80% of the bleeds that happen in the nose are self-limiting. I would say that usually the patients don't have to panic if they have a nasal bleed during pregnancy. They just have to get all the parameters checked, like Dr. Pooja, liver functions, the coagulation profile, and the general condition of the
platelet counts.
And a lot of topical and basically nasal treatment itself helps in treating these patients.
Yes.
And for the nose, the other thing I mentioned, yes, they can develop some sleep apnea, where the obstetricians also recommend sleeping on the left side, left lateral position, keeping a pillow, not lying flat, not taking anything heavy before sleeping. So all these things, this whole home remedies help a lot.
Left lateral position helps a lot in the sleeping also, increases the blood supply also to the fetus.
But the second topic I would like to come in the ENT area with pregnancy is the ear. Yes, ma'am.
So ear problems are the second most definitely, but they are the most severe type, and patient is really in distress when we see ear problems. So generally they come with blocked ears or maybe severe pain in the ear. Sometimes they have a ringing of ears. Sometimes they're not able to hear properly. So there is some amount of hearing loss during pregnancy, and also many times some paralysis of the facial nerve, that is Bell's palsy, is also seen. So these are certain common conditions of the ear that I encounter, and I would like you to please elaborate on the treatment, how we can help our patients.
Yes. So most of the ear blockage are because of the eustachian tube blockage. So we have a tube connecting the nose and the ear that again becomes swollen up in pregnancy, and because of that blockage the ear also gets blocked. So usually a nasal treatment will help in the ear blockage. So this is similar to something like if we take a flight and we have a blockage during takeoff and landing, it is something similar to that. But in the next stage, if some fluid is developing behind the eardrum or some pus is developing behind the ear, at that stage we have to add on some medicines, some decongestants, but we always keep our obstetricians with us so that we know the right medicine is going, it's not increasing her blood pressure, and obviously antibiotics needs to be added. If the ear infection is causing pain or there is a discharge from the ear, then local antibiotic drops and even oral antibiotics, whatever is recommended by the obstetricians. Also, I would like to mention one condition here, that is otosclerosis. Dr. Pooja, otosclerosis is something genetic, but what happens in that is that the hearing ossicles, they get fixed. But it is commonly seen that during pregnancy, due to the high level of estrogen, these fixation can progress in pregnancy. So lot of female patients who had hearing loss or though never had hearing loss can develop progressive hearing loss during pregnancy. So it is very important they come back for a hearing test and not sit at home, because we have to manage these conditions. Though surgery is not done during pregnancy, but they can be managed. At least they can be counseled about it. Usually the mother will also be affected. We can get that history from them.
Definitely.
And those patients need to be kept aware about their condition. And third, I would say that lot of patients, Dr. Pooja, develop giddiness also.
Giddiness
and
is
it's very confusing whether it's due to anemia, cardiac cause, ear
Vertigo
cause.
is very common.
It's very common. So we have to rule out the cardiac cause and obviously the systemic cause that the obstetricians see. But vertigo itself can happen because the inner ear imbalance can happen. It can be due to imbalance of the electrolytes or the general blood volume, as you mentioned. Usually the medicines that are available in the market that we can give to the patient cannot be given in pregnancy. So usually we tell them to do bed rest so that they don't get any secondary accidents. That is the main thing. Any other, ma'am, you want to mention about the Bell's palsy, because any patient, female patient, pregnant patient coming with a facial asymmetry, they get
yeah, it is quite disturbing for the patient and quite disturbing for the family also. But definitely the treatment is self-limiting and we generally can't give much of a treatment. It is something just can occur spontaneously due to the physiological changes of pregnancy, and it generally reverses on its own after the delivery.
Any role of steroids, Dr.
So
Pooja?
definitely in steroids, sometimes we see improvement with such cases. So
But we have to
definitely
see
helping.
that
Yeah. How much is the palsy? How much disturbance it's causing? So definitely steroid has a role in Bell's
But
palsy.
any medicine that has to be given by a doctor under the supervision of obstetrician, though it is mild, moderate, severe, whatever ENT problems, but medicine should not be picked up from the pharmacy during pregnancy and nothing should be taken themselves, right, ma'am? Yes. Now coming to the last leg of it, that is the throat.
Yeah.
So what do you see usually? Your throat problems.
Yeah, I think sore throat now, it means throat problems are definitely
Yes,
very
on the
common
rise,
nowadays
yes.
with the season and with developing AQI levels.
Yeah,
So we do
definitely.
see a lot of throat pains, lot of hoarseness in the voice, lot of heartburns, and lot of gastroesophageal reflex symptoms. Generally, these are all related to the throat problems. So these are the common problems that I do feel this is common in pregnancy, that I see in day-to-day practice. Generally, we manage with symptomatic treatment with mild antihistamine or any anti-allergic or some crocin or paracetamol tablets. But definitely, I would like to know how, as an ENT, we would like to treat all these patients of
So
mine.
these patients already have a lot of pressure on the stomach, and because of that the acid in the stomach comes to the throat, and that inflames the throat as well as the voice box. So they can have voice change, they can have throat pains which are very prolonged and sometimes very debilitating to the patient, that they want to know why are we having this. But most of the times it can be managed by proper eating habits, like not having late dinners, not lying down after dinner, because in pregnancy there is so much of lethargy. Sometimes they eat food and they just lie down. So that should be there. If you are not able to take an early dinner, you can do a walk after your dinner if it is advisable by the obstetrician, and not take anything heavy or caffeinated.
Yeah,
Or
it's very important
very
to have an
important.
early dinner and not to take a heavy dinner and at least walk. So your sleeping time and your dinner time should be at least 2 hours.
Yes.
Difference should
And
be there.
caffeine is obviously
Caffeine,
not
advisable in
advised.
much amount. Yes.
Yes, it's not advisable, but if you have GRD, that is reflux, caffeine should not be taken. Obviously, our Indian food is spicy, we sometimes enjoy that, that should be avoided, because the medicines usually are not very safe.
very safe.
So we want, usually it should be managed by home remedies and food changes, because this reflux is actually quite chronic. In initially months you have a lot of vomiting and reflux, and the later months, because of the pressure of the baby and the amniotic fluid, again the stomach has the pressure. So eventually all
Generally
months,
in the last trimester, but it does increase
It
because
does
the
increase.
pregnancy is increasing in size. It gives pressure on the stomach, it gives pressure on the heart, it gives on the lungs, the rib cage is also increasing. So patients become quite distressful
Yes.
in the third trimester.
So we have to counsel them well, both the obstetricians and the ENT doctors, to how to manage these conditions, because a lot of medicines cannot be given to these patients. There is a few patients who had told me that they used to have excessive salivation.
Yeah,
Dr. Pooja,
yeah.
is that common?
I have seen a couple of patients who have come to me. Means I was also amazed to see their condition. Means they are really in so much distress. So the salivation is to such an extent that they are not able to speak properly.
Okay.
It is causing an impairment in their day-to-day life. All the mental health is being disturbed because of this, and the whole family also
Yes.
does get, when the pregnant woman is under distress, the whole family also get disturbed. So it is very common condition that I do see with excessive salivation. So considering I do send them for oral hygiene checkup also, then I do take a ENT reference to that also. But definitely, yeah, it is a physiological changes that do happen in some women. Would you like to tell us something more
So,
about it?
excessive salivation, again, it's all hormonal and physiological
Yeah.
changes. Usually, you don't find out the cause for it, but the only things that can help is proper chewing and again having good eating habits. A lot of female patients tell me that they drool in the night. That again is more related to mouth breathing rather than actually excessive salivation, because if you're mouth breathing in the night, you're keeping your mouth open, there can be some drooling. So again, we have to treat the nasal congestion in that, because
yeah.
nasal congestion is one thing I feel it's very persistent, and obviously with the environment and with the type of viral infections we are getting these days, it is important. One question I wanted to ask, because is how much is important is the flu shot. For my patients, I have to tell them that ENT, please get your flu shot. If they're pregnant, it is
It
advisable
is
now.
very, very important. We do give it in the second trimester to all pregnant women, because it is an important preventive vaccine for the patients, because as I told you, the immunity gets suppressed, more prone to all these infections. So it is always better to get your flu shot on time in the second trimester. It is recommended to all pregnant women. It's very important. And
Doctors to get the right treatment during your precious time.
definitely all these conditions are associated with the physiological and hormonal and metabolic changes of pregnancy. So nothing to worry about it, because these are all benign conditions, self-limiting, and generally they improve with pregnancy,
Yes.
delivery, after delivery. So a sound knowledge of this disease is very important, and if you're in the best of hands, then a safe medication which is safe for the baby and mother are very important and key to the treatment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.